Welcome to the Mum Dem podcast.
By the Mum Dem?
Or the Mum Dem.
But. Welcome back, everybody.
Who are you?
Great question. Who am I? My name's Amma. I have 2 beautiful children and I'm a lawyer.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you again. I'm Kamilah. I have 3 beautiful girls and I'm a teacher.
Hey again, I'm Rachel Corson. I have 4 beautiful children. They're also beautiful. And I'm an entrepreneur. And we are joined today by Mary.
Woo!
Yourself.
Hi everyone, I am Mary. I am an author, just become an author. We released our first book, Financial Joy.
Woo!
I'm also an online content creator. I've got a business with my husband where we teach people how to take control of their finances, grow their money and work towards financial independence.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming to join us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honour to be here.
Yes, we're very excited to talk all things finance with you.
Yeah.
So
Let's do it.
And we're going to kick off with talking about you joining the Mum Dem community.
Okay.
So we want to hear all about your first birth story.
Wow. I don't think I've ever been asked this question on a podcast, so I really had to think about it.
Oh, wow.
Kind of just like suppressed it in the back of my deep subconscious. But no, it's not. It wasn't really terrible. Where do I start? So I was on contraception and then we decided, okay, let's try for a baby. And it happened so instantly that I was just really shocked by it. There was no kind of like waiting. It was, okay, wow, babe, we're pregnant. My pregnancy was very straightforward in terms of I had no kind of like major sicknesses. I heard your birth story and I thought, oh my gosh. You guys, you really suffered. But I had like the nauseous for the first 3 months. Like certain smells like of spices like really triggered me. And I'm somebody that loves putting spice on my food. But I never threw up. It was just that nauseous feeling. I worked up until like 3 weeks before my due date. And yeah, it's pretty much a bit of a blur. I think I realized I was having contractions. So I called a hospital and when I got there, I think I was like 4 centimeters dilated. So I didn't have to go back home. I wanted the whole natural childbirth. So I did lots of reading, all the research. I had my electric candles like you mentioned. I had my gospel playlist. I wanted a home birth, but that freaked my husband out. So the next best thing, same as you.
Same as me,
actually.
I had intervention from the in-laws.
Okay, yeah, I hear that totally. So the next best thing was like a birthing center that was connected to the hospital. So there was a bath in there. I had like my setup. It was all nice. So it was all natural. I just did gas and air. And I remember my mum telling me when she was pregnant with me how when she was in a lot of pain, she would just be like, when she was contracting. So I kind of thought that would be me. I was screaming the hospital down. I'm telling you, it felt like the gas and air did nothing for me. Like literally nothing. I was questioning my life choices. Like, really? Maybe I should have considered taking the epidural or whatever. So yeah, I was pushing, and it was all going well until they said that they noticed there was some meconium. And so that literally freaked me out. And I started to just push. You know, you're supposed to push at the height of your contractions. I, at that point, was just pushing because they said, like, if the baby doesn't come out now, they're going to have to send you to get C-section. And that, I was thinking, no, this isn't the plan. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I prayed for. So yeah, I gave birth naturally, but then I tore really badly.
All the pushing.
Yeah, all the excess pushing. So yeah, they did their thing, stitched me up, and then I was in a hospital for like 3 days. You know that there's some mums who say, no, but it was really my choice. You know, I always hear mums say that, I gave birth and I was out the same day. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, that's amazing. But I just did not feel like I was ready to leave.
Yeah.
I just
they let you stay?
Weak. They did. But, you know, after like the second day, it was like, oh, you're still here? kind of thing. And then they realised what they said. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. But the reason I was there for 3 days, though, is because I was feeling really faint whenever I'd get up to go into the bathroom. I'd feel like I'm going to faint. So my husband stepped in. He was like, you guys need to check her out. And it turned out that I had lost so much blood that I needed a blood transfusion. But they were ready to like release me, send me home. Yeah. And if it wasn't for my husband like really advocating for me, because it's my first time being pregnant. Like I don't know
Yeah.
really how I'm supposed to feel. So yeah, I had the blood transfusion, and that's why I stayed the extra day.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was it really. After that, it was pretty much me bonding with my baby, my boy at home, and yeah, the rest is history. Did you want to know any more? Or...
That's such
That's
a
lovely.
beautiful
It
story.
is.
It's really
Okay.
interesting because in our last episode we
Mm.
heard a slightly more traumatic birth story, and
Right.
obviously you heard extremes in all of ours.
Yeah.
And we said that actually it's nice to hear a range, right? And people
Yeah.
don't really
Yeah,
get
absolutely.
to tell their stories. And we were talking about the fact that people who have traumatic birth stories need to tell the story, but actually everyone does.
Yeah.
Because yours was quite
yeah.
smooth. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong though, a tear, that's traumatic.
That is painful.
That's
Do you know
painful.
what? You've just reminded me, Ray. I literally I couldn't sit up for weeks.
Right,
Almost a month.
Yes,
exactly.
I
Yeah.
forgot
I
about
had to
that.
stay laying down.
Yeah.
And then you have the visitors come in, and I
Yeah.
just wanted them to go.
Yeah.
Because I can't, I don't know why, but I should have asserted myself and said, like, I'm in pain, I need to lie
Yeah.
down. But instead, I had to, like,
Because you're
put on the
pleasing,
front
you
and
have
I-
to say
Yes.
that I'm fine, or I look fine, so they can think you're
Yeah.
okay, and then
Yeah,
be with
yeah,
you and the
yeah.
baby, and everyone wants to see the baby.
yes.
And
I'm
it
like,
feels embarrassing
It
to say
does.
that it hurts down there. It shouldn't be. There's no
Yeah.
shame.
Mm.
That's where
You
the
pushed
baby
the
came
baby
from.
out
So
of
of
there.
course it might be sensitive. I had to sit on one of these old people hemorrhoid cushions,
Oh, no,
like a ring
yeah.
cushion, and I'd carry it with me when I went in the car. It was in the car. If I was in the kitchen, I'd carry my little hemorrhoid cushion. And thankfully, I didn't need it for the other
Oh, good,
births, but I
good.
needed it for the first after that tear. It's a lot.
That
Yeah.
tear was
And
it's
it's all
not
part
talked
of
about.
yeah,
It's
exactly,
not.
and it's all
Like-
part of the birth as well, because your
Yeah.
postpartum journey, that's the right word,
Mhm.
yeah, is also part of that, because we experience so much from giving birth. It's not just you give birth and that's it and then you're with your baby, but like you said, your body has to also then heal from it. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like we need to move
Thanks
on
for
to the
the
next
reminder.
question and make it a bit more positive, because
Yeah.
I am now thinking of, for those who are on TikTok, the TikTok list. There's a girl on TikTok.
Uh-huh.
And she has
a
a
list of
list.
why not to have
Children. To have
Why not to have children?
Right,
Yeah, and
right,
it's
right.
literally like, you know how their nose spreads,
Yes.
their feet
Oh,
I've heard
expand,
about this. Yeah.
people lose their teeth.
Uh-huh,
Like,
uh-huh.
a lot can happen.
A
However,
lot can happen.
we've all done it
However,
multiple times.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
We have.
So let's go into that.
Exactly. Okay, so
Kamilah.
our next question, thank you. Our next question for you is, what is your favourite thing about being a mum?
Oh man. So I'd have to say, firstly, it's just that unconditional love that you have for this child.
Seems to be a theme.
there's no other
That
love
is
like
the
it.
There
serious
is
one thing.
Yeah,
no-
unconditional love.
And the thing is, even from before that they're born, you
Mhm.
grow a bond, such a strong bond with this bump,
Yeah.
and then you birth them, and it's like, wow, immediately your maternal instincts just kick in, even for somebody who wasn't maternal.
Yeah.
So for me is one, and also, sorry, was it just one thing?
No,
Go
No,
for
go
it.
give us more.
I think it's just there's an overwhelming responsibility that you have, and it can be overwhelming. But then just to see them grow and develop and come into their own with their own like interests and personality, it's just a wonderful thing to see. It's quite fulfilling, and just me helping to let them walk in their purpose, but trying to work out what it is and trying to help them develop their gifts and their talents. It's just it's wonderful.
It's a beautiful journey, isn't it? Having children and just watching them grow. It's just
Exactly.
wonderful.
And that's why we go through all of that. We
Yeah,
birth
all
and
of
go
those-
through
those
our body,
reasons.
all that physical fun,
Yeah.
and
The
it's just
list is worth it.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
100% worth
is.
it. Like,
Absolutely.
100%.
would I do it again another time? Maybe. No.
Remember when I said I'm never doing it again after my first birth?
I feel like every labour she has said, "Why am I doing this? I'm never
Yeah.
giving birth."
I feel like that's
again."
something that women
we
do.
all
though.
do.
You have,
Like,
yeah, you give
what
birth,
have I
you're
done
like,
to myself?
not again. But then, we do.
But then we have so much fun with the kids.
Exactly. I just wanted to add as well. We said that there's a general theme of this unconditional love, but
Mm.
just for those mums out there that sometimes that love doesn't come straight away. Sometimes they, feel a pressure to have this unconditional love and this feeling of, oh, I love you so much, and I don't even know you. I feel like, especially with like postnatal depression and things like that, I think some mums don't have that straight away, and it sometimes it can take a while. And stuff like that. But I just wanted to mention that because I feel like there are some mums out there that might look at this and be like, well, no, I didn't experience that straight away. They might have had a really traumatic labour
That's a very
and be
good
quite
point.
traumatized
Yeah,
by
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's
Very,
help
very good
available
point.
for those mums.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
if you are not feeling bonded to your baby and you're listening to this, please tell someone, tell your friends,
Absolutely.
tell your
Talk about
midwife.
Don't be ashamed to speak
Yeah.
about it, because
And
there's
sorry, just another point. I actually had postnatal depression, but I didn't know it.
Mm.
In fact, I only
Right.
realised years later when I thought about
is
it
so
that
normal.
actually
Yeah.
it was postnatal depression. So
Yeah.
definitely talk to people about it.
Yeah.
Everyone experiences it differently. We're all
Yeah.
very different, and our experience will be very unique. So absolutely get help, talk to people, trusted people for sure.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
I just didn't want to leave the house. I was happy to stay indoors and like be in my bed all day. But obviously, it was the whole lying down thing. I didn't want to sit up. But a whole day could go by and I didn't mind. Like I did not mind, and it would be like my husband and people saying, you need to get out. You need to. But thankfully, I had a great network of mums who also gave birth at the same time, because I was part of the NCT group. And these women were on it. Like, ladies, let's go here for lunch or here for breakfast. I'm like, where do you guys get the energy? But I did it anyway. So that helped me to like get out and stuff. And I just got over it eventually. But looking back on it, I wish I knew it was postnatal depression.
Yeah. So many women suffer with that and don't realise.
Yeah.
And it's not, I think we look at postnatal depression as, just a couple of months after you've had your baby, but it can go on for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you were talking about in our pilot episode, the perinatal depression as well.
Yeah.
Like it's something that affects women, and we just have no idea that it's because we're just fighters, aren't we? Mothers just keep going through it all, and sometimes we think that these feelings are normal, that we should have these feelings, but I think that's why it's so important to talk to people, to listen to podcasts like this, so that you can, there are experiences out there that are similar to yours, and the beauty of talking to people, community. Village. The Mum Dem.
Mum Dem, I'm here for you. Okay, so next question. What's the best piece of parenting advice that you've ever had?
I think it was there were many, but because of the stage I'm at now, it's to savor every moment. So by that, don't be in a rush for your child to get to the next milestone. And for me, that was almost exemplified because when I had my children, I was also running a children's nursery. So I knew, like, based on the early years curriculum, what stage they needed to be at by age, by month. And so I was always like, I can't wait for you to come out of nappies, or I can't wait for you to start walking. I can't wait for you to start, but now they're 11 and 9 and I'm thinking, slow down time. Like, you guys are growing up too fast. So when you save every moment, you really cherish and you're present, right? And you get to notice like your children's interests, because their interests today are going to be different tomorrow. And you capture it through whether it's filming them, taking loads of photos, going out and making memories with them, but just don't be in a hurry for them to grow up too quickly.
Yeah, I really love that. Yeah, because I've even realised that I have a 5-month-old baby, and I'm just like, I've learned, because with my older child, I was going too fast. I was like, when are you going to do this? When are you going to do this? And my husband even says, now we've experienced that, we can take it slow with this one and enjoy every single moment. So even the sleepless nights where he's just stuck on me constantly, I'm just like, look how beautiful your eyes are. And the way that he looks at me, I'm like, I don't know if you're going to look at me like this for your whole life. So I'm appreciating these things and being like, okay, I'm grateful for this, even though I just want to sleep. You're so beautiful.
Do you know what? You've made a very good point. The reason why we don't always savor every moment is because it is quite stressful. It's quite overwhelming. We're sleepless nights and carrying a baby. You just want, you don't want to have to keep waking up every moment to feed them. You want them to sleep for the night, but because of that, you miss the moments when they're young.
Exactly.
And they're cute. Well, they're cute now when they're older, but you know what I mean.
Cute in a different way.
So handsome.
I know,
and
they're
still so
gorgeous.
cute.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so you are a woman of many talents. You've run a nursery. You've raised 2 beautiful boys. You've written a book with your husband.
Yes.
And I know of you and your husband Ken from your YouTube channel. So you've been bringing financial joy to people for a long time. And I think what I found really impressive is the fact that by the age of 40, you guys were mortgage free.
Yes, 43.
43.
Yeah.
40 anything.
Wait, sorry, you're past 40.
You know what I mean?
This is amazing.
What? Genuinely shocked. I thought it was a joke, so I was literally there waiting for you to stop.
Sorry,
I was like,
you see, like, what am I talking about? 34.
34. So, sorry, that's it. 34.
I'm not.
That's by 34. You just turned. I was thinking,
I was like,
it's me.
It's
Do
all
you know
right.
what? It's the sleepless night.
Here we go.
There will be many mistakes in this podcast and a lot of grace.
Yeah.
You know what? So I had 5 a.m. club this morning, but yeah.
Here we go. Here we
5
go.
a.m. club.
Yeah.
So you cleared your mortgage by 34.
Wow.
Yes.
I have to repeat that because do you know how
Yeah.
mad that is? At the age of 34, you were
Yeah.
mortgage free. That is
Yeah.
incredible.
Thank you.
That is really incredible. And you have been on This Morning recently talking about Financial Joy, your book. You've
Yes.
helped other people to join, what is it, the FIRE Club? So
Yes.
Financial Independence,
Retire
Retire Early.
Early.
I've been on that Reddit for a minute. I cannot say I'm on fire, but I want to be. So what is it really like for Mum Dem working in this industry of giving financial advice and support to people?
Oh, see, I wasn't quite sure about your question. So for mums who are in personal finance.
In this area, so doing the kind of thing that you do, so actually giving that advice to people. There's not that many mums who I see doing it. There's a few, there's a couple of pages that are more focused on families and actually helping people to get debt free, to build their savings, to clear their mortgages. What's that like for you as a mum?
Yeah, so it's been interesting actually, and I think it helps that me and my husband were both on the same page with this. You know, I can't take that for granted enough. As in my financial kind of journey started when I was quite young, and just seeing certain things that my parents went through as immigrants, migrated over to London in the late 70s, and seeing my brothers come into wealth and make silly mistakes. Sorry, they won't mind me saying this, but I am the youngest of 3 older brothers, so I had a lot of benefit of hindsight. And so I was always like, okay, you guys, like, did some silly things with your money. I don't want to be in that same situation where I'm earning money, I've got a nice flashy car, nice flashy house, and then I lose my job and then I end up living on the floor at my mum's house.
Wow.
So for me, it's always been, I guess, natural because I'm talking about it from my own lived experience. And it just so happened that me and my husband did quite unusual things because we were on the same page from the very start of our relationship. So when you met me, I had a lot of savings because I wanted to get into property, right? But then I didn't have the confidence, and I know that the lack of confidence pushed me back a lot, and I didn't make moves as quick as early as I wanted to. And so for me, I just want to get that message out for other mums and other women that, you know, women, there's so many things that we are capable of, but because we feel like there's certain attitudes and beliefs about money and investing, we hold ourselves back. Even in the workplace, we don't assert ourselves, we don't advocate for ourselves where we can earn more, but instead of like going for that job where we know we're qualified for, we're likely to not do it. We want to be overly qualified before we go for that role, whereas men will just blag their way, earn a lot more, and then because of that, there's an impact on our earning potential. Even without us advocating for ourselves, there's a gender gap, right? And then there's so many other things that you throw into the mix when you have children. You have to balance childcare. You're usually the primary caregiver, and then you also want to think about your career. So what do? Do you stay at home with the kids, or do you go into work and then have to think about childcare? There's so many things that mums have to think about. And so for me, I just wanted a space where we talk to single people, couples, men, but especially women and mums. Like for us, we always need to be thinking and planning ahead, financial planning, thinking about our future, thinking about our retirement, so that we are being more intentional about our money. Sorry, I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, more
But
than
okay.
It's brilliant stuff.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, that was really good. So our next question for you is, what do we need to teach our children about finance? What's the key thing we need to teach them?
I think what we need to teach our children is that money has value. And it's important to teach them that they can be producers and not consumers.
Deep.
Yes. And so, like, it's just thinking about my boys. They're always like, Mum, I want to buy this, I want to buy that. At one point, they were so big on Roblox and they loved their digital currency, Robux. And they could spend easily like 10, 15 pounds on an avatar or whatever it's called, and then it will go out of fashion the next day. So, you know, we had to really explain to them the value of money. So for them, whenever they get pocket money or birthday money, we co-invest with our children. And so they get toys, they get books, they get money. and we tell them basically that a third of your money that you get, you should invest it. A third you can give to charity, another third you can like spend it on whatever toys or whatever you want at a shop. So with that, they always know that whenever money comes in, they don't just spend it straight away. But also by co-investing with them, they get to see their portfolios. So it might seem a bit, what's the word? If you're not used to investing, it might seem daunting. But if it's so easy to just set up a children's stocks and shares ISA, show the child your portfolio, tell them what you're investing in, and let them see their money grow. And then they will start to have questions like, why have I lost money? Like, this is how much I had, and now it's gone down. What? Then you can explain like how things fluctuate in the stock market. It goes up and down, but over time it goes up. And if you leave your money in the stock market, it will grow over time and double. So teach them compounding. If you're not comfortable with doing that, then there's everyday things that you can teach your child. Like when you're going out, maybe on a school run and you're passing all of these shops, point at some of these shops and ask your child, like, how do you think they make money? How do you think they make money from this store? Like, what is it that they sell? What problem are they solving? And really get your children to think about money in that way, that you're solving a problem, and by solving a problem, you then make money from it.
By being
Absolutely.
producers
I really
than
like that.
consumers.
Yeah.
Producers, I have to
should
really
have my
think about
notebook
that. I
out to
know.
take some
I'm literally
notes.
thinking like, okay, I need to remember.
I need
But
to
the
tell
book
girls.
will help with that. Does the book talk about
The
that?
book talks about it in detail
Okay.
on page, I've got it, 352.
Fabulous.
And that's
Yes.
about children, how you're teaching children.
Yes, how to
Okay.
teach children about money.
Amazing.
So it's
I'm not
called
there yet.
Raising Financial Savvy Children.
Love that. Can't
Yeah.
wait to get to that chapter. I'm
Yeah,
only
I'm
5.
only in chapter.
Because I was
No,
just
no,
thinking
no.
about my daughter, and so for example, she just got £20,
Mm.
and so she's like, I want to buy Paw Patrol trunks. And I'm like,
Yeah.
sure. You find it out because I've refused to buy it for her.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't have money for Paw Patrol trunks. And I was like, sure, you can do what you want with this money. It's your money. Go for it.
Yeah.
But now I'm sitting here thinking, maybe, well, thankfully the Paw Patrol trunks are £5, so she still has £15.
Mhm.
And she's like thinking about what she's going to do with this £15. And I'm like, we can talk about investing it and putting it into your ISA
Yeah.
that we've recently opened, and putting some and looking at it from that aspect. So I really like that about teaching them
Yeah.
to be
The
producers.
co-investor, I
and not
love that as well.
consumers.
Yeah.
I think I told you about this already. I took my 8-year-old on a shopping spree for her birthday.
Yes.
Can I just say, for her birthday, she managed to get £360.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
That is a
For
lot.
one 8-year-old.
For one 8-year-old.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
I don't remember getting that on my birthday, but anyway.
I don't think I get
So-
that on my birthday now.
No,
Right.
exactly. So anyway, she's got very generous grandparents and aunties.
Oh.
So she got this £360, and the rule before we went, I said, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what to buy. This is your freedom. It's your shopping spree. She didn't want a party. She just wanted this shopping spree. So I
But
said,
you
you
probably
go
saved
for it.
money because children's
Precisely.
birthdays
Oh
are
Precisely.
my gosh.
So
True.
said to her, there's no limits. You buy what you want to buy. I'm just going to be a bystander.
Yeah.
We went into Zara, which was the first on her list. She wrote a list.
The most
was
expensive.
Zara. I thought
Not even Primark.
No, exactly.
How old is she?
She's 8. So
Oh,
it was Zara, Primark, beauty shop.
Yeah.
I don't know why she wants a beauty shop, but anyway.
Oh.
And what else did she have on there? I think it was a bookshop and a couple of other shops.
Mm.
So we go into Zara, and I thought, you're going to learn a harsh lesson here,
Yeah.
okay? She walked around, picked up some stuff, came back to me and was like, Mummy, I thought that when I got in here,
Yeah.
I'd want to buy everything,
Yeah.
but I don't.
Oh.
And I was like,
Oh.
let me ask you a question. I said, if this was my money and I
Yeah.
said you can buy what you want, would you buy everything? She said, of
Yeah.
course. She was like, now I get it. She's like, I don't want to
Yeah.
spend my money.
Yeah.
I don't want. We went into Zara and she
Yeah.
bought one thing.
Wow.
I
that.
could not believe it. One
Yeah.
I
thing.
mean, I saw the bag. She bought a lot.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
She
But
bought
she
one
probably
thing with
realised things were cheaper,
Yeah.
so she'd
Yeah.
We
get.
went into New
spend
York and there
less.
was a jacket. She loved the jacket. She said, hide it behind there. I want to check Primark first.
What?
I said, what?
I
I love that she's like, just in case, let me see if I can find something cheaper.
Yeah.
I'll come back for this one.
And we
They-
went back for the jacket.
Very good.
Especially when it's their money, don't
Yeah.
they?
Absolutely.
You just reminded me, one thing that we taught our children, which saved us a lot, was teaching them how to budget and stick
Yeah.
within their budget.
Okay, I need to hear more about this.
No, it's
Because my
very-
7-year-old likes to spend money.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
haven't started giving her pocket money because
Yeah.
I'm like, she's already, she said, oh, I worked really hard to make my money. I said,
Yeah,
how did
yeah.
you work hard to make your money? She said, I had to go around the house and see what I could find.
Aww.
And we had to explain that the money you're finding in the house, that's my money and Daddy's
I
money.
need to start looking around this house more.
When we go to Rachel's house,
Do you know what? When I say teach them how to budget, it's nothing like really, really difficult or technical to explain, but it's simply if they have, I don't know if your children are at the age where they want to tell you what they want for their birthday, like they write a
Yes.
birthday list,
Yeah.
just tell them what their budget is. So you have X amount to spend, find something within this budget, and that's it. So they will go on Amazon or we'll go into, where's that toy shop? Smith's.
Yeah.
And I would literally see them pick something up and say, oh no, that's over my budget. And I'll put it down. So we've not had to have a conversation with them, like that awkward conversation, because they already know to stick to it. So that's...
I have follow-up questions.
Yeah, go on.
So what age do you think that's appropriate from?
From as young as possible, 6,
Okay.
7.
Maybe from when they
Okay.
can identify numbers. because then they
Exactly,
can-
from when they can
So
identify
5.
numbers.
So
5,
fine for myself.
5
Yeah.
is good.
We'll start now.
5 is good.
And okay, so I try to keep my kids away from screens as much as possible.
So
So, you know, our generation, we definitely grew up
Yeah.
with too much technology. I think I had a phone when I was like 12. I mean, it was a brick,
Mm.
but I had a phone when I was 12. It was too
Yeah.
early. I was on, what was that, like WAP or something? Not the Cardi B WAP, the other one. The wireless something protocol. It was like
Oh,
pre-proper internet where you could like
Yeah.
message strangers. It was not a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So I've told my daughter that we'll talk about a phone
Mm-hmm.
when she's 12.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is she's learned that you can get these cards. I think it's like Go Henry, or there's lots of these different things
Yeah.
where there's like an app. So she wants an app, and to have an app, she needs a phone. But I don't want her to have a phone or a tablet yet. I think at 7 she's too young to be able to
Yes.
process the technology.
Yeah.
She can use we've got like a family iMac,
Mm-hmm.
which is in a central room where we can walk past and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
They've each got their own little account on it. They've got different colors on their browser, you know.
Yeah.
So they can learn to use technology. She's learning to code and stuff. But I'm terrified of her being able to just go on Amazon by herself.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? Because a lot of finance and a lot of
Mhm.
managing finance is
Mhm.
managed through apps, through technology. You know, I've got my
Yes.
spreadsheet on Google Drive, you know.
Yeah.
So how do you teach kids to do these things without exposing them to too much technology? Or do you think it's okay actually to say, do you know what? You have a tablet for this purpose. What would you advise?
That's a very good question, and it just depends on their age. So I'd say that if they're younger than 9, well, you should really supervise them anyway
Yeah.
when they're on Amazon and they're searching. But from like 7, 8, or younger, go to Smith's or get them a magazine.
Yeah.
You know those
when you can circle
remember
what you
when you used to
want.
have the Argos catalogue?
Argos catalogue,
Yeah,
absolutely.
just
Love
give them
that.
stuff like that to
My
look
girls
through.
love
Yeah.
that.
They
so.
don't really need to go on the big World Wide Web.
Yeah.
Or, you know, at that age, they're kind of just like happy with what we give them, no?
Yeah.
Well, they were in this consumerist society. It's like they see adverts and they're like, I want that. But yeah.
This is
It's
why I don't
really
have a
hard.
TV.
It's really, really hard, you know, to strike that balance. But it really is just having that supervising them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
whilst
you.
they're doing it.
Good
Can I just
answer.
ask one more question about the budgeting stuff?
Yeah.
So I saw a study. I should have written all the figures down, but
Mm.
this lady went into some schools and she asked children if their parents were worried about money, and it came back that 90% of those children said that their parents were worried about money in some shape or form. So my question is, when we're setting this budget for children and saying, okay, you've only got this amount of money to spend, or we want them to learn the value of things, do you think that is creating like that scarcity mindset of we can't afford that? Or do you I don't know if I'm
Very
making
good
sense.
Good question.
Very good question. I think what you're doing is you're teaching them how to steward money.
Yeah.
And I think it's just all in, like, not what you say, but how you say it. And it can easily, like you said, go the other way, and a child grows up with a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
But if we teach them to have an abundance mindset, then we're saying, look, this is the pot, this is the money that you have. How are you going to steward it? Put it in different pots to serve different purposes. You're putting your money away for your future so that your future self can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just the way that you word it, because it's very important. There is a fine line between teaching them how to steward their money right, but then also you don't want them to risk having that scarcity mindset, like, oh, I must keep it and not ever like spend it, or you know, because otherwise we might end up with not having enough
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fine line, but I guess it's just about the way that you say
Yeah.
it. You're saving for your future, you're investing for your future self.
That's really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
Do you do
Absolutely.
pocket money?
Do you know what? That's a bit of a funny one. We don't really have pocket money like that. Yes, they do get money, but it's not like a weekly thing.
Okay.
It's not a weekly thing. And also, my husband doesn't like our boys associating doing housework with getting pocket money.
Yeah.
I'm with him on that.
But like if they wash the car, then that's different.
Yeah.
The outside of the car, if they Hoover, no, you're not getting paid because you made that mess. But like cleaning, washing the outside of the car, yeah, we might give you some money for that. Other than that, we just tend to give them money now and again, but there isn't really a set amount. They've got everything they need.
Yeah.
It's an individual thing. We're not
Yeah.
against it. Like if you want to give pocket money, that's great because then it teaches children how to use it and how to again budget the pocket money that they get.
Because
Yeah,
I've read
what are your
people.
thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I haven't decided. My
Yeah.
daughter's asking for pocket money.
Okay.
Her friends
And-
get pocket
Because
money.
some of her friends get pocket money.
Ah.
But at the moment, she gets birthday money, sometimes Christmas
Yeah,
money.
they've
Yeah.
got so much
From
money.
godparents. I don't give her money,
Yeah.
but she always has money. Sometimes
Same.
we'll be out and she'll say, "Oh, I left my purse," and I'm looking at her like, "What are you going to do with your purse?"
All that money she's found around the
Like
house.
your daughter,
Yeah.
exactly. She likes to spend my money when it's
Yeah.
her money. She's a bit more
Yeah.
cautious, and she's bought stuff and then seen something else she wanted and been really disappointed. So then I've had a chat with her about how, well, if you buy the first thing you see, then you won't necessarily have money for something that you want. So think about it, write it down. If you still want it, we'll come back or we'll order it online.
Mhm.
And she'll say things like, "But I don't have internet money, I just have this." And I've kind of explained to her, you know, it's okay, we'll make it work. But with pocket money, I have read the opinion that if you don't give pocket money, you're doing your children a disservice because that's how they learn to budget. They need some form of regular income.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm convinced by that,
Yeah.
but I can't say it didn't get me thinking. So I'm not really sure what I think on this.
I think because she actually gets money, like for birthdays and stuff like that, I guess with that money, she can use that to learn how
Yeah.
to budget. But that is a very good point about you being able to learn how to budget when you get pocket money. I know for me, I used to get pocket money when I was young, but that just all went on crisps and penny sweets.
Yeah.
I still budgeted, but on crisps and
Yeah.
penny sweets.
Yeah.
I think it's not only until you start earning money through work that you really do learn the true value of money,
Yeah.
not necessarily through the money that you just get for nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I quite like that. I think I'm the same. I used to get 50p a week when I was in school or something.
Oh,
Like,
So cute.
but I had packed lunch, so 50p for me was like amazing.
What did you spend it on?
That's
The
like
same.
20
I'd buy-
sherbets.
Yeah, exactly.
Back
I
in the
was
day.
learning.
Now I don't even know how to get one.
now, but we had a little tuck shop in the playground, so I would save it up till Friday. So I'd have £2.50 on Friday.
There we go.
I'd splash out.
Yeah.
Love
I
it.
would splash out.
I
But-
was the tuck shop. Me and my brother would go to the corner shop and buy sweets
love that.
without literally collecting 2p's, 1p's, go buy sweets and then sell them at a markup.
Wait, is this primary or secondary?
Primary.
So you were the
school,
entrepreneur.
Rachel.
You were the entrepreneur for a day.
Do you know the children in my
Wow.
there were a few children in secondary school that did that. They got in a lot of trouble, Rachel.
I never got
Yeah.
caught. Got away with it.
But the pocket money discussion or the debate, I started giving pocket money to my girls, especially the oldest, she's 8. But it's just never something that she's really been bothered about. She'll forget about it. And so for me, I'm with you. I give them money on birthdays. They get money from, like, their grandparents will sometimes come around and give them a little bit of money. And they have a savings account. They always have that. And if they do something extra, like my oldest does a dusting around the house, so sometimes she might get a little bit of money for that. But I do like what you said about if you're not working for the money and then I like that
Don't
exchange
value
of
it.
working for the money and then making it.
That's life, isn't it? We work to get our money.
Yeah.
That's it.
What do you think about pocket money, Emma?
Do you know what? I haven't really thought about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Your kids are quite
Because my
young.
kids are young,
Yeah.
and it's only now that even with the £20 that she got, I'm reminding her, "You've got this money. What do you want to do with it?"
Yeah.
After she's got her Paw Patrol truck, she didn't care. She was done. She was so happy with
do
it.
not value it.
No.
Like my 5-year-old
Yeah.
he dropped a £20 note at school. And I think like my dad gave it to him because that's what he does.
Yeah.
why did he have a £20 note?
Yeah.
Because he wanted to show it to his little friend. She
And then
hadn't
drop it on the
seen
floor.
one before. And I think another child picked it up and was walking around with this 20, and the teacher's like, what's going on? And eventually it got back to my husband, who works at his school. It ended up in his office, and he was like, okay. And then he said to me, do we even give it back to him? Exactly like Emma said, they don't value it.
That's why I'm like, I'm just going to put it in your ISA, and I'll tell her this is where it's going to go. It's going into your ISA, and we can add to that for your future.
I love that. You should absolutely show her account.
Yeah, I think that's okay. And do you know what? But mentioning that, someone who was like 22 was very confused about what happens in a physical bank. So you were talking about internet money, and a 22-year-old had never been to a physical bank because she'd only done online banking
nowadays.
Do you know they close at like 1 p.m? But sorry.
I know, right?
My children to a bank
that's what I was just going to say, ladies. Take your children to a bank. I have.
When I was sorting my mortgage, they had to come with me.
Take your children to a bank, because that is how they learned. I'm like, there is physical money, and this is where it used to be kept. Before, we had to go to the bank to do all these things.
Your little bank
I used to go, I had to get, and you get a little stamp in it, and every time I get the money with my little checks, I used to get birthday checks, not with cash and stuff. So these are all things I'm like, they need to know.
That's one of the half-term trips. This
to the bank.
Off we go.
I have an ISA question. So your boys have a stocks and shares ISA. Do they also have junior cash ISAs? Or I can't even remember, because mine only have one, and I was like, I need to open the other.
Yes.
Do they need both?
Can you have both?
You can have both, but you can't have two stocks and shares ISAs, I believe. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Do you think one's better than the other? Or?
The stocks and shares ISAs always. Obviously, there's higher risk, but with higher risk, you get higher returns. And if you just invest it in like passive index funds or ETFs, then the chances are that over time your money will grow in that account. So people like to talk about active investing, buying and selling, but we talk against that because the chances are that you could actually lose your money. But definitely stocks and shares ISA, junior stocks and shares ISA. I'll just do it.
Thank you. I have another question before we go to our next formal question that we've written down. So we're going off-piste a little bit. Kamilah mentioned that a lot of parents are anxious about money right now, 90%. And that is something that we've all seen, right? With the cost of living crisis, people are worried about money. And, hopefully we're coming out of the recession and things will improve. But for now, whilst rents are higher than ever, mortgages are higher than ever, redundancies are happening left, right, and centre, and there are legitimate reasons for people to be concerned. As a parent, if you have all of these anxieties, I suppose it's a two-part question. How should you talk to your kids about this stuff whilst being, age appropriate, being transparent? Because I think kids know when their parents are worried. Because this isn't 90% of parents are worried. It might even be 100. This is 90% of children know that their parents are worried. So what's an appropriate way to talk about the not so positive side of money with your kids? But also, would you recommend that, for parents who their disposable income is a couple of pounds a week, is it worth putting £1 into a stocks and shares ISA? Is it worth doing something just to get in the habit? Or is it better to say, okay, just build up your emergency fund? I know that some of these things are explored in your book, but for our listeners who haven't yet read it, or perhaps who don't have the means to read it, what do you do in the not so good times? How do you talk to your kids about it? And how do you save or invest for your future if you don't have a lot of resource right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think it's important to be honest with your children because, as you said, Kamilah, the children do pick it up, right? And so I guess, again, it's down to, it's not really necessarily what you say, but how you say it. So you really can just explain in the most basic terms that due to the economy, things in the supermarket that used to cost maybe £1 is now costing £2. So the money that we had is still the same, but we have to just use it a bit more wisely so that we can still buy the same things that we used to buy with the same amount of money. And so that might mean cutting back on certain things, but it's just temporary. And this is something that's affecting everybody. It's not just us. And so children, I just need you to be patient. I know children don't really understand how to be patient, but it's just explaining that it's not a permanent situation. It's only temporary. And actually, if you look at history for the last 40, 50 years, this has always happened. interest rates go up and down, and as that happens, also the cost of goods also change, and you just have to adapt.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's an excellent answer.
Okay, good. And with the next question, it was around
how do you
sorry.
invest for your
Oh,
future if you don't have
have a lot
much
of money.
resource?
Yeah, so it's a good question, and we talk about in this book 8 places that your money should go based on your income every month, right? And so it just depends on where you are on your journey. So everyone is at a different stage. Some people are trying to get out of debt. Some people have gotten out of debt and now they're trying to invest. But we always do say that it's very important to have your emergency fund always before you even think about maybe investing. And once you've got your emergency fund, we usually say between 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses, you should have saved, right? And once you've got that saved, do you have any high interest debt? Because not all debt is the same. Like the debt on your mortgage is not going to be the same as the debt on your credit card with a high APR. So look at your debt with the highest interest rates and then pay that off first. If you don't have any debt, right, and you've got your emergency fund, absolutely start investing with whatever small that you have. Start little.
What if it's £1 that you have left after you balance the books? Should
If
you
it's-
bother, or should you just treat yourself?
Do you know what? I think it's important to treat yourself. But again, we have another, 8 places your money should go, an allocation to fun, right? And that allocation is like 5%. But it's important to balance fun. But this is what the book is about, right? Wealth and well-being. Finances being the wealth and the joy being the well-being. So it's important to find things that bring you joy, but doesn't necessarily cost you an arm and a leg. So if you had £1, I would definitely say, is there a way for you? Do you have capacity to earn more? Whether that's through doing overtime at work or through using your existing gifts and talents to maybe earn more money from it as a side hustle. And I know that not everyone can do that, especially if you're single mom or if, you just don't have enough time in a day. But definitely look at how you can earn more money so that you do have more money to work with, and it's about delayed gratification, really. It's important to treat yourself. Can you find free ways of treating yourself that doesn't cost you money whilst you're trying to also build a future? So it's about striking that balance.
And sometimes investing that £1 now can mean at the end of the year you've got a bit more than £12. Maybe you've got a bit of dividend money, then maybe you can treat yourself in a better way.
Exactly.
Or reinvest it.
Yes. So you can look at it as it's delayed gratification, but you will have it in the future and you will have a bigger pot of money to treat yourself with.
I like that delayed gratification. I don't like the idea of it because I'm like, I want it now. But the in concept is something that I need to
get the
in.
gratification.
Yeah, it'll come later.
It requires discipline. It does require discipline.
Yeah,
for sure. I think if you can do it with a little, then you can do it with a lot. And this idea of can you find more ways to make money, balanced with put the disciplines in place now, so that when you do make more money, it's going into your 8 pots, your 8 directions, or even as simple as how you do it with your boys, it goes into the 3. You give to charities, to other people in need, you invest or save or clear debt, which is in a way still an investment in the future.
Yes.
And then you can spend the rest on whatever you want to or need to spend the rest on.
Exactly.
It's a really nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, and that 5% net income that we say to allocate to fun, that percentage can increase when you have no debts to pay or when you've maxed out whatever your stocks and shares ISA. That 5% can now be 20% or 30%. It's up to you. But
that's what I like to hear.
It's my favourite part.
It's not permanent. What I like to
It's the bit that I'm pushing to my husband.
Yeah.
You see, it's here written in this book.
So
we need to allocate it.
I remember when I graduated from law school, and I had it's a long story that we don't have time for today, but I had 4 student accounts, and I was overdrawn in all of them.
Okay.
Exactly. And my flat had flooded last minute, so a lot of my stuff got ruined before I left uni and moved back to London. And I remember I was like, how do I clear this debt? And spoiler alert, I did clear the debt. It was a lot. It was like 20 grand. And this was back when I graduated over a decade ago. But I managed to clear the debt relatively quickly before I got married. So, I had some money to put towards the wedding, even though I was relatively young, and that felt like such a big milestone.
Yeah.
But, had I had different advice and guidance, maybe I could have, bought a house or done something else. And there was all of this pressure of I have to clear it quickly, and I could be doing other things with the money. And one of the best pieces of advice I got in that time was you need to treat yourself. I remember my friend, I was like really stressed out. And I was saying, I need to do this, I need to do that. And this surprise bill came. And I was self-employed. I had a side hustle as well as my main job. And I was like, and I need to do my tax return. But I forgot to set aside the money. And this friend of mine literally put a £20 note in my hand and said, go and get your nails done. And I was like, I can't. She's like, it's my money. Get your nails done. And she said to me after that, and I felt so much better and calmer, and I was able to make a better plan. And she said to me, you always have to make sure you do something for yourself, because if you're feeling miserable, you will make bad financial decisions.
So true.
Right? We only can push ourselves so far before you just like impulse buy nonsense.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this financial joy thing, that it's about the joy, and it's recognizing that the joy part, the well-being part, gets you to the wealth part anyway. So when you're feeling good about money, it's going to go better for you.
Absolutely.
So keep doing the Lord's work. We love it. Okay, on to back to the piece.
Are we on to
We're on to your questions
Okay,
now.
great. So that actually leads directly and swiftly into this, because a lot of the community want to know, what is financial joy?
Oh, okay. So is it okay if I read like a section from the book?
Yeah, go
for it.
Talk about the definition. Okay, cool.
Bonus content.
Hey. Okay, so imagine a life where your financial situation no longer causes stress, anxiety, or sleepless nights. A life where money becomes a tool for empowerment, enabling you to pursue your dreams, support your loved ones, and make a positive impact in the world. This is the essence of financial joy. In other words, financial joy is a mindset and model that anyone who earns or spends money can use to ultimately design a balanced life of wealth and well-being. It's not just about accumulating wealth or achieving financial independence. It's about finding harmony in your relationship with money, aligning your financial goals with your values, and experiencing a deep sense of contentment and peace regarding your finances. Financial joy is about transcending the traditional notions of success and redefining what wealth truly means to you. It's about cultivating a mindset that allows you to navigate the ever-changing financial landscape with confidence and resilience. We choose financial joy because it is a deep and lasting sense of inner contentment and delight. It is a profound emotion that arises from within and is independent of external circumstances. Joy can be present even during challenging times, such as recession or the cost of living crisis. So yeah, that is financial joy.
That sounds like the
in a
dream,
nutshell.
the goal,
It does,
like
yeah.
literally. And I think even as you're saying it, I think for me anyway, and I think a lot of other people, is that finances, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like when I hear money, I'm like, ugh. I just want to spend and not know I want everything to be sorted out. I'm not the finance gal at all. That's why I barely think about it. Hopefully some people can relate. Because
Yes,
I can relate to you.
I
I
definitely could at some point as well.
because literally when I think of money, I'm like dread. But I have been learning, and my husband has been trying to help me, and I have been trying to read a lot of stuff and study stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for this book just mentioning joy. I love the aspect of the joyfulness and also the well-being, and actually how it becomes this positive mental space, and then that will bring the wealth.
Yes.
And so I love the contentment, I love the peace. I'm like, yes, these are all words that I need to fill myself up with.
Oh, brilliant.
But I just don't associate that with money, to be honest. Right now I think I'm on maternity leave. I'm now from next month going to be on statutory maternity pay. What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's rude, is what it is.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm like, how on earth am I supposed to budget these pennies? I'm very blessed, I'm grateful. My husband has a great job, and I can take this time off to be with my child. But it does bring stress and anxieties, and then my husband will put a spreadsheet in my face and I'm like, ah! But I am really excited to get into this financial joy, and understanding this world of finances doesn't have to be scary and horrible and ugly, and it can bring contentment and joy. So
Absolutely.
thank you for writing this book.
Absolutely. And can I just
That's a
add
pleasure.
that I'm on week 6 of this book,
Wow.
and this is the first thing in maybe 5 years that has ever made me consider cancelling my Amazon Prime membership.
Oh,
Wow.
That's how.
Seriously.
Wow.
That's how
Love that.
big this thing is.
wow.
Okay?
The thought of that is like, so what's going to bring my deliveries the next
Exactly.
day?
But I'm realizing, I'm thinking about all the subscriptions that I have.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, when my husband says, about budgeting and about money and about, in your book, you talk about these personas that we take on, money personas, and I couldn't believe how much I relate to those personas. Like, I have been a passenger for a long time, and also an avoider. I'm just like, when he says, "Babes, have you done your budget for this month?" I'm, "Oh, can you just not
ask me next week?
Leave me alone. Like,
go
and do it somewhere on your own."
But I'm very different. So I am the because, as I said, I was in 20 grand of debt when I was 21. That was significant. And I had 3 jobs through uni, so it wasn't like I wasn't working. I was working hard. I got my degree. I immediately, like, I think one of the things I really related to is the fact that you had quite a serious job quite young. I had a receptionist job in an office when I was 12. And I remember I would get this little bus and I would be paid £20 a week, which to me seemed like so much money. And I was answering phone calls. I was basically IT tech support. I was fixing the computer if it was broken. I was printing things. I was like pouring people tea when they came to the reception. It was this little charity. It was like like a friend of a family friend. And I ended up at the age of 12, about to turn 13, like with this serious, big job. And because of that, because I've always been the one with money, but I had bad boundaries, I was the person who would lend money to friends. So once I discovered budgeting, which was way too late, I wish I discovered it before I went to uni, because I had a scholarship. I should not have student debt, and I have a lot of student debt. And it wasn't until more recently that me and my husband realized my husband is the avoider. He is, and we talked about it a lot, and he's like, I just never had to think about money because he's from like, he wasn't like rich, but he was quite well off growing up. So he was fine financially. His parents, paid for everything that he needed. He didn't really have to think about it. His dad's a doctor. And then he got, a job quite early on when he was a teenager. And he says, at the time when I should have been taught about money, he got a sports scholarship to play basketball in the States. So he moved to America and he lived in basically like a boarding school. So he had all his meals provided. He had his entertainment was sport. He did boxing. He played American football. He played basketball. So he didn't have to pay for that. Do you know what I mean? He didn't really have a need for money, and he had a part-time job, but he had a couple of savings. He didn't think about it. It wasn't until we got married and suddenly he was like, "You want me to keep a budget?" What? And I used to bake him banana bread with chocolate chips every single Sunday and be like, "Okay, we're going to sit and do our budget." Because that was the only way I could get him to sit down and do the budget. It was just such a new thing for him.
So interesting,
So it's really interesting because not many couples seem to have our dynamic, where he said to me, "Can't I just get paid into your account and you deal with it?" I was like, "No, absolutely not." Because I'm quite good with money and I've had to learn to be. And obviously, having run a business, I know how to like read financial statements and deal with that stuff. And I've been self-employed. So I'm all about the spreadsheets and stuff. But I want soft life. I don't want to be the main one thinking about this stuff. And he's grown a lot. He's gotten so much better. He's reading Financial Joy, which I'm so happy about. Right? And he's so excited about it. So it's really nice to see that. So I think I'm probably speaking for you guys as husbands. And I'm like, they're probably grateful you're reading the book, because being the responsible one, it's a lot of stress, right? When you're thinking about your whole family, and it's like, if I don't update the spreadsheet, if I don't edit it, I don't know if it's going to get done, especially through things like maternity and through all those changes. So you're helping many couples, many families.
Thank you. And this is something that we actually recommend if you're going to buy this book and you are a couple as well, for you to have one each, because it's a very practical book, with each week having like action steps, with like spaces for you to fill out your reflections and stuff like that. So you do definitely need one each. And it's so good that you've noticed that a lot of how his behavior is with money is due to his upbringing.
For sure. But
a lot of our money blueprint is formed from the age of 7, and it's based on our, what we've observed from our environment, our upbringing, our parents. So it's always important for us to exercise that grace and understanding with our partners, because we all have absolutely different upbringings, and that really kind of does determine how the relationship with money that we have now. And if we don't do that kind of work of reflecting and talking to your parents, like, what was your relationship with money like? What were your grandparents' relationship with money like? How does that impact me now today? You then can't move forward. But because you're having that conversation, you have this book, you can change your money blueprint. Absolutely.
Starting those conversations is so important. We've been talking about our money story. And just to give you one example of how we differ, we were talking about like our fathers, and the biggest bit of advice we can both remember. So my husband remembers his dad saying things like, don't put your hat, you know, where you can't reach it. So don't take out loans, don't take credit cards, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas my dad said to me, when you turn 18, you get a credit card, you max it out, and that will help your credit rating. So we had such different ideas of what it meant to be, you know, financially smart or whatever. Those were our very different
This
ideas.
was the same as me and my husband, because he had when we were engaged, I discovered he'd never had a credit card. And then I looked up his credit score, which you can do. He didn't have a credit score. So I put him on the electoral roll. I took out a credit card for him. I did all this stuff because I was like, sorry, at this point, he's a bit older than me. He was earning about 4 times what I was earning. He was on a decent salary, right? But my credit score was better. And part of it was because I'd been in all this debt, and then I got out of it, and I did things like using a credit card to pay for all of my costs every month, but then clearing it so that my money came in and it could sit in an account. Exactly. And I learned all these hacks and all these things to do. And he didn't have to do that. So there is something to, you know, coming from a bit of adversity and being able to
balances it out, doesn't it?
But it's so interesting how both of those bits of advice from your father and your father-in-law, they're technically good advice, right? Because not living beyond your means is important, but also having a credit score in our society is important. It's so interesting.
So interesting.
But Mary, you mentioned that you and your husband align financially. So how? And this is another question from the community. How do you both align financially? And just was that always the case?
So we, funnily enough, met at the most boring place you can think of. We met at a property seminar.
Oh, wow.
I attended it with my brother and he attended by himself. It was like a 3-day seminar. And I didn't know him. We just struck a conversation. We got to know each other. I had my guards down because I was thinking, there's no way you're trying to move to me in front of my brother. You're just a really nice guy.
Little did you know.
Little did I know. Like he was
2
like...
kids later.
Exactly. 2 kids later, here we are. But when we got engaged, long story short, he booked a trip to Zanzibar for us to just like go on holiday. And on that trip, we planned our wedding whilst we were on the beach. It was beautiful. But we also planned, we created a 10-year plan along with like creating you plan for our wedding. And as part of that 10-year plan, we wanted to pay off our mortgage in 10 years. We wanted our own home. We wanted to become financially independent because we had both read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I forgot to tell you, that was the seminar we were at. It was a Rich Dad Poor Dad seminar. So we were already like aligned and on the same page. It was easy for us. And I really appreciate that that is not the case for everybody. Like you guys are explaining, it's quite uncommon for couples to be on the same page, but it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. You can actually both be on the same page eventually by dreaming together. And when you have common goals that you work towards, it's almost like you're working backwards. And how can we both achieve those goals at a certain time frame? So it is possible to get on the same page.
And would you say you're matched in terms of things like generosity and like how responsible you are, or is one of you slightly different in those kinds of areas?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you have to, like, when you have certain goals that you want to work towards, and you say like this is where your money should go, we allocate like everything. We have a pot for everything, so for giving, for like families, for presents. And so I guess we just both had to be on the same page so that our numbers could be aligned in terms of like where we wanted to be. So there was a bit of a difference for both of us, but we found a way to just like have a mutual agreement with each other so that we can reach those goals. Yeah.
Great teamwork.
Final quick fire question.
Yes.
This is a great question.
Okay, go on.
What's your favourite song to dance to? I was like, this is going to be fun. Change it up. We've been talking, you know.
Sorry, everyone whose question didn't get
I'm
answered.
so sorry, do you know why? Because
I think a lot of the questions have been answered throughout the pod.
Snap.
But yeah.
I'm saying snap because I did see that question. I skimmed some of them and I was thinking,
and you're like, you don't want that one.
I don't really, do you know? And she answered it for me. It literally is Afrobeat. Like I don't know what it is about Afrobeats, but I can be tired, stressed. my husband puts on Afrobeats, so I'm just like,
Yes.
even like at my desk, I'm dancing. So yeah, definitely like any Afrobeats, I'm there. I'm on the floor dancing. Yeah.
Love it. Love a good Afrobeat tune.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Thank you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you on the Mum Dem
Thank
pod.
you for having me.
Where can our listeners connect with you?
So you can find us on YouTube at The Humble Penny, and on Instagram and on TikTok, where we're having a bit of fun on there. We also have a blog, thehumblepenny.com, where we publish blog posts every week. We are also published authors and, God willing, soon to be Sunday Times best sellers. Okay, so you can find our book on all major retailers like Amazon, WH Smith, Waterstones, and so on. So yeah, do get this book and it will be transformational for your life, guaranteed. Like, just read the reviews. Like, so far, the reviews have been amazing. So it's just nice to see that all the hard work has paid off.
Yeah.
It has. And thank you for spreading financial joy.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Absolute
much.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. You ladies are amazing. I love everything what the Mum Dem is about. And I love the branding. It is on point. So
Thank
you,
you.
ladies.
If you are listening to this podcast and you're driving, then when you pull over, please make sure you subscribe and you like us on whichever platform you're on. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, hopefully by the time you listen to this. It takes a little while, and it is early days. And you can find us at Mum Dem Pod on all of the different social medias.
See you next time.
See you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.